Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show with Steve Cohen. Our special guest, USF alum, Bob Giron. Bob, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good to hear you guys and see you guys.
Yeah, it's great seeing you. You know, I always ask our alums to just talk a little bit about themselves because we really know them, but we really don't know them. So
Right.
talk about where you grew up, talk about your siblings, and let's talk about mom and dad a little bit.
Absolutely. So, I was born in Oakland, California, right? And I'm the
Yeah,
youngest of four. So it's myself, my sister Rochelle, my brother Jim, and my youngest sister Jackie. Okay, and then my parents, my mom and dad. My dad's name is Bob, and my mom's name is Jovita. They were raised in Hawaii, so they're from Hawaii. We're from the Filipino descent, and I was raised in Alameda, Oakland, and I went to St. Joe's for 12 years. My brothers and sisters all followed, and I just know that um, since my dad was in the army, put in 22 years, we flew to Hawaii every summer. My first 17 years of life, I flew to Hawaii every summer. Spent
nice.
time with his sisters and my mom's side of the family. Um, so right now, I'll be 61 next month, and I've been married to my beautiful wife Maria, and we live out here in Hercules. We have two beautiful children. My daughter Annalise, you just met, is 21, and she's about a year away from graduating from Cal State East Bay. My son Christian is 27, and he's married, and he went to St. Mary's College, graduated a couple years ago, and they're both out down by Cupertino, and they're both working. So we're grateful for that. The only thing I'm waiting for, what Bill has and I don't have, are grandchildren. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. That's a whole new life and then full of excitement. So we're waiting for that. I have my sister Rochelle, who's a year younger than me. She also went to USF, and she has three kids and one grandchild. Then there's my brother Jimmy, married to a beautiful Ali'i, Hawaiian lady, and they've been married since I think 1988. They had two children. One's a Keikoa, 28 years old, I believe, and then they had a daughter named Ki'i, but she passed away right after high school in Las Vegas, is where my brother lives now. And then I have my younger sister Jackie, and she lives in Hawaii now. She had one child, and he's an adult, and no, he's not married. So he's the same age as my son Christian, and he's 27. So I know that all four of us, me being first, we went to St. Joseph's High School in Alameda, Jason Kidd, right? And if you've ever been to St. Joe's, I think Bill, you've been there once. It's all within one block. It's the elementary school, the high school, the gym's across the street, and the church is right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hey,
we're
hey, can you talk about your high school experience and who really introduced you to play basketball?
oh, well, it was before high school. It was my father. He played basketball in high school, and he introduced me to basketball. He had gotten a job at the University of San Francisco in 1969. By then, I was already playing CYO basketball, but he was teaching me how to dribble and pass and make layups at the Alameda base, which is in by the waterfront. And I started learning there. Then I started playing CYO basketball and just started moving up. And then by the time I got to eighth grade into ninth grade, um, you had to pass me on. I was fortunate enough to have a coach named Mike Phelps. Steve, I don't know if you know, but this guy, up until around 2000, before he was forced to retire, he was an all-time winningest coach in high school in the state of California. And my coach, Mike Phelps. And what happened was, so he, when I 78, when I graduated, I went to USF. That same year, he went to Bishop O'Dowd, which is a powerhouse school, and that's Brian Shaw came from there. So he coached Brian Shaw. But he was my influence after that. He was all fundamentals, basketball, offense, defense, all that stuff. So I learned a lot there. And as I moved along, I don't know if Bill remembers, but Bill was being recruited by Bob Gaylor and all those guys. Bill and then Winford and some of those guys be working out at the Presidio in the summertime. Bill Smith came there, James Hardy, Winford Boynes. And my dad would tell me, Bobby, and I was younger than these guys, you need to come here and have the coaches see you. Play some basketball. Play good, and then they might pick you up. So I remember there was at least 5 or 6 times when there wasn't enough players. So it's Phil and Winford, right? Bill then already picked out. Phil goes, I got Bobby. So Phil Smith would, was already with the Warriors, would tell me, Bobby, stay on Mike. Mike Quick. Take away his outside shot, force him to the middle, and I have your help. All you got to do on defense. And then, I'll take care of the rest. He goes, on offense, they're all going to have to come and guard me. You're going to be open. You better hit your shot.
Wow. Were you nervous?
No, you know what? You know what happened, Steve? I was I also learned how to play in 1969, so now I'm 9. I was a ball boy for the Oakland Oaks. Alex Hannum was a coach. Rick Barry, Doug Moe, Larry Brown. They would practice at the Oakland Army base at the gym my dad ran, and just one court, and there's side courts, but they're white. But my dad had the shiniest court there. Alex Hannum loved practicing there. But my dad's working on the side of the gym. They're done with practice. There's 2 things I always had to do. My dad would make me do it. Larry Brown, teach my son how to dribble.
Wow.
I got you, Bobby. So Larry and I would go up and down the court, guarding each other, behind the back, reverse, up and down the court for about an hour. I was only 9. And then there'd be times that everybody's gone, and the lights are dim except on the court. My dad goes, Bobby, go rebound for Rick. In my mind, at 9 years old, I was, oh, man, he's going to miss. I got to run all over the place to get the ball. Steve, he never missed.
Teach you how to shoot underhanded?
No, he didn't shoot it. His father-in-law was standing next to him a lot of the time. They're just talking, and I'm just rebounding. I was passing the ball back to him underhanded.
Wow.
I read the basket. I just threw it out to him, wherever he went. That went off probably about 2 hours, and everybody's gone. The only person in the gym is us 3. My dad's at work.
Wow.
That's part of
amazing.
So when Bill said, who asked me if I was a little bit afraid? No, I wasn't. I was used to it by now. I would watch Doug Moe, and so who they used to scrimmage against? The all Armed Force team. Coach K was playing. Bobby Knight was playing. Greg Popovich was playing.
Wow.
Hal Fisher was the coach. But you know how volatile those 3 coaches are? They never said a word in front of Hal, and he would be cussing them out. And my dad was a referee, and I was a ball boy at the scrimmage at the Presidio. And Hal goes, okay, Bobby, we'll take it out at half court. My dad goes, Bobby, pass me the ball half court. I would pass it to him. I'm watching them scrimmage. So I'm around these guys all the time. And Coach K would talk to me because I was the youngest one. The other guys wouldn't say much to me, but my dad was there, and my dad was really tight with Hal Fisher, who was a part-time assistant coach with Red Holzman from the Knicks. But he was stern. So I go, man, these guys are volatile, but they never said a thing in front of this guy. So when I got to play with Winford and those guys, I was more comfortable already. I just hadn't even seen anybody big. But Bill, you weren't at this one practice. 8 of us showed up, and I was the 8th person. There was 6 of us. It's Winford, me, and Jeff Randall against Mike Quick, Rod Williams, and Marlon Redmond. And Bourne is coming in, and Redmond is all league. I think it's his junior year, and they were hitting each other, going at it, banging. And it was one play. I think Winford got tired of it. He drove to the basket, jumped up in the air, put his foot on Marlon's chest, and slammed Marlon down, and slammed the ball, and the ball hit his head. Hey, Steve, I'm only a sophomore in high school. I don't see none of that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. And Winford goes, it's over. He ain't doing anything to me. Now here comes Bob Gaylord, Larry Gilman, my dad, thinking there's going to be a fight. And Winford goes, it's done. Nothing's going to happen. That's when I know, oh man, this is another level of basketball that I just not accustomed to. I just telling someone McDonald's All-American coming in, dominating. That's what I remember about Winford.
Hey, talk about your first impressions at USF.
My first impressions at USF.
Yeah, first impressions about your coach, teammate, just being at USF now that you're here.
The biggest impression I had was I was out of the house. I was on my own. I had my own room. My mom did help me set up my room, buy me a bunch of stuff so I could be ready. But it was just being free, not being accountable to my parents. Not that they were that accountable, but I was on my own. I had to learn to do things on my own, get the class on my own, get the practice, just to be focused. But it was really exciting. And Bill, Bill's already been there 3 years and they were dominating. So I went into a situation where it's just going to be, we're still going to win, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And I never traveled as much. Our first game, I think Bill was at Santa Barbara for me. It was your senior year. And then I think our first game that year was China at the Coliseum. So all that's new to me. At St. Joe's, we played around in front of maybe 400 people, 300 people. We made it to the state finals in 77. I think, Bill, you won it in 75 or something like that. So we made it to the finals, lost to Fremont. So we might have had about 5,000 people. But now we're going with Bill. And we're playing against Notre Dame and all those guys. Coliseum was packed. So it was really cool, refreshing, and just to see the next level of basketball. Of course, Bill went to the level above that, which is even greater. But it was fun.
It seems like you've seen everything in the Bay Area, in basketball, right? And it had its ups and downs. Obviously, the Warriors were revived, and even now they just made the playoffs again. So what are your thoughts? You pretty much sound like you're walking history of Bay Area basketball.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm the oldest, and my dad was all into basketball. They got to USF in 69, and any activity that involved basketball, I was with him. I followed with him wherever he went, starting at the Presidio, going up to USF. I was a ball boy. I remember Pete Cross playing in the NBA. He died, but I remember them playing against Paul Westphal. Oh my gosh, I was underneath the basket or on the side of the basket. You know how you shoot a fadeaway from the corner? It's the way you shoot the ball. Instead of shooting a 180 and coming back to the ball, to the hoop, shooting easy, he faded the opposite way and still shot the ball. And it went. I said, no way it's going in, and went swish. Probably one of the greatest shots I've seen at that gym. But yeah, it's a lot of excitement over the years that my dad was just followed my dad. Even at the 69, Al Ados came up there with the summer youth program to teach kids how to play from the Fillmore district. So I was exposed to a lot of that. And Ron Fitzwilliams, another Warriors, was one of the ones taught me how to do the basic how to handle the ball. So I was exposed to good coaching, teaching, and learning at a young age, which made it fortunate for me.
And I guess you had no choice but to be receptive to it, right? You loved it and just handled instruction well. You didn't rebel in any way.
From high school on, it was really good, and even 8th grade. But early on, my dad and we didn't get along. In a sense that he wanted me to play, but I was young. I wanted to play with my friends. I wanted to go roller skating. I wanted to go play in the sand, which is 2 blocks behind at Alameda Beach. But he would always tell me to take the grass that we just mowed and take it to the Alameda base, and we'll just dump it, right? I said, okay, that's all we're doing, right? And the next thing we do, opening the door, grabbing a basketball, and he would put me on the basketball courts, put out chairs, and then I had to dribble in between it.
Wow.
But other than that, it's been but I'm grateful for that. You know, over the years, I finally it was really quick though. Eighth, ninth grade, I fell in love with basketball. It was everything, you know. Um, to me, it was the only sport. So
Hey,
the
Bob,
Raiders
can you
started winning.
talk about because after you came my senior year, but after that, we had some pretty good guys after that. Wallace Bryant, Quentin Daly. Can you talk about those guys?
Yeah, so right after you left, Bill, there was a Billy Reed played 1 year, Bart Bowers, John Hagwood, Wallace Bryant, and Quentin was the best of them all. Quentin, I would compare to Winfred Boynes at the collegiate level because he was prolific. He was just his first step was so quick, and then get up as high as he could on his jumpers. So you would see guys drive to the basket now, put the little floaters. He can stop on a dime, and put a jumper up, and he was unbelievable as a skilled athlete. Well, Bill, I remember one time when he was with the Bulls and you were with the Knicks, and he scored 44, and I was at the Madison Square Garden. Scored like 44
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, he was terrific his first year in,
Yeah. So
but yeah, he was a phenomenal player. Now, was he the best player that you saw after we left?
at our school,
Yes.
yeah, he's even up until even up to now. Before that, guys, he went for James, but I don't remember anybody. Nah, couldn't couldn't can. So what he did in high school, he would jump at the tip off, pass it to the wing, and he would go post. And if he couldn't post because they're double tripling, he'd come and get the ball and just do his thing and just jump over everybody. So he was an all-time leading scorer in Maryland history when he finished. But man, great athlete. Billy Reed was another good one. He was solid, especially on the defensive end. Played for the Warriors 1 year, then went overseas. Wallace was solid. Big guy, could rebound, and play strong. And John Hegwood could jump. Doug Jamieson. Oh, play with you. So I
Yeah.
played him 1 year, and he's another guy that could jump. Who else was there? But you know who else was really good that before you, Bill, was Phil Smith.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. Phil was great.
Yeah, it was
Great
one of
player, smart player.
yeah.
Hey, I'm talking about after we left, do you have a game that you can remember that you thought was amazing?
Yes. Anytime we played Notre Dame, and the other one was the most amazing game was my senior year, first game on CBS, USF against Georgia. Dominic Wilkins, Vern Fleming.
Wow.
Best part that I ever watched ever is the warm-ups, watching those guys or watching him do layups, and they were just unbelievable dunks. He could get up, man. He was working on a sweat. But him, I think he had something like 30-something points. Quentin had 39 on Channel 5, national on CBS, and we beat them. We were like 7, they were like 5, or the opposite. That's the best game I ever was around.
Now, who was coaching that game?
Pete Barry, Coach Barry was the coach. What's his name? Can't think of the coach's name or anything, but yeah, Barry was that coach.
Talk really quickly about your two coaches when you had at USF.
Um, the first one was Coach Dan Melamini. I enjoyed him. He taught me a lot, and he was respectful for us. And if we respected him, he would respect us. But he was hard nosed, got us going. I really enjoyed the way he approached the game. Coach Barry was a little bit different. When he took over my sophomore year, I think college basketball was new to him. He was been an assistant coach for a few years, so he had to do some adjustments, but he did pretty good. You know, um, when Belami left, he left them some talent, right? With Quentin coming in, boy, and then we still had Hegwood and Wallace, and the other one, was a great athlete. I forgot his Ken McAllister.
That's right.
Forgot about him. Steve, 6'5", 205 in 8th grade. Bringing the ball. I go, oh my gosh. And I was in 8th grade. Who's this guy? We're in East Oakland playing in the summer league. And then anyways, he developed, and he was really strong. Defender, decent shot, super athletic. Ended up playing in the NFL for a few years.
Yeah. Now, Bob, tell me so you're about to leave USF. You had an incredible career. What are you thinking about? What's going to be your first job? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, I think, I wanted to use my degree, and I was thinking, man, I have to earn some money. I was thinking about going overseas for a minute. I could have gone to the Philippines. I said, well, you know what? I still have to come back. I gotta come back. You know what? I'm just gonna go to work. That was my thoughts. So I went to work, and I went into the insurance business. Did that for a number of years. So my thoughts were, I have to get an income. I have to get a job, and want to stay out of the house. I don't want to go back to Alameda. So I wanted to be on my own. So that's what I was thinking. Working, finding the right woman in my life, and it took a while, but all that worked out for me.
Now talk about this. Now, it's really hard to sum this up because he's such a legendary guy. Talk about your dad, and I just think his impact on everybody at USF.
Yeah. The biggest thing about my dad was that he was friendly. He loved USF. Even now, from time to time, I'll find a picture. No matter where you see my dad, he had USF gear. His blood wasn't red; it was green. He loved them so much. He followed everything. Basketball was the sport. He
I'm
loved.
sorry. Tell Steve what your dad did.
Oh, my dad was the equipment manager at the University of San Francisco. Hal Fisher, who was at the in the armed forces, the one I mentioned to you earlier, that coached the other guys, they were really close. He found a job for my dad at the university. So the guy had just left, and Hal went over there and talked, and my dad interviewed him and got the job. So he was equipment manager for 36 years.
Wow.
And he
took a lot of pride in it. Like you were telling me just about how clean he kept the floor, right?
Yes, he was clean everywhere. He took care of all the athletes, but the athletes he loved the most was basketball. And so it started with Pete Cross, Ron Doms, and some of those guys. I can't remember the Ron Centerwall. I don't know if you remember those guys, Bill.
Of course.
Coach Pete Paletta was the first coach, and I think he was the AD too. And it was those guys there. And when I was a ball boy, when I first started, and my dad was in love with that ever since. But the thing about my dad is that, he wanted us to win so bad. He was at the end of the bench, wearing a Aloha shirt at all Bills games, before him and after him. But he would harass the coaches. I mean the referees. He would harass the referees, and they'd all come into a circle. My dad's going. Yeah, you missed the call, man. Watch this here, and they love my dad. But my dad, was easy to get along, and if you're had anything to do with basketball, if you love sports, and if you are from anywhere from Hawaii, you're in. You're in, man. Because my dad, everything's about Hawaii, and so. It just people got along with him. He got along with people. He was a people person. That's what he taught me. He taught me that I could talk to anybody and everybody because I watched him do it. He could talk to a fly on the wall and get along. That's how he was, and I watched him. He wasn't afraid of anybody and got along with everybody. But if you didn't get along with them, you'd know.
And so you're saying like he liked not just stars like Bill, but everybody, right? Like some people are only selectively nice to the stars, but it seemed like he cared about everybody.
Baseball players, he loved them. Soccer, we were good in soccer. So my freshman year, Bill senior, We won the whole thing. Whole NC2A. He loved all those guys. Those guys are some really great athletes too, soccer players. So those were great years at USF when I was there. Just before I was there, then we dropped basketball after me. But man, there was a lot of winning, a lot of tradition, and just winning gold. We were the Gonzaga of then, but back then we win it every year. We would win.
Talk about, I know touched about a little bit about it. Talk about your wife and talk about your kids and no grandkids.
So let me see. My wife Maria is Italian, and she was best friends with my cousin Lorraine. We're still close friends. When I met Maria a few months before at an A's game with my cousin Lorraine, her best friend. And it wasn't until Lorraine got married in September of 1990 at the wedding, right? Apparently, my dad was being flirtatious with her the night before at the wedding dinner. I didn't know, but Maria told me later on, your dad was flirting with me. So after the wedding, I'm with my sister and her future husband. We wanted to go eat before we went to the reception, and I'm there in the church. All of a sudden, I hear my dad. There's Buzz. He goes, Maria, have you met my son Bobby? Out loud, right? I go, oh my gosh. He goes, yes, I have. And I think she got embarrassed. But anyways, back at the A's game, and when I met her, I asked my cousin if I can get her phone number. I can call her, ask her out, and go on a date. So she said yes, and then Maria said yes. And I called her to go on a date, but she couldn't go that weekend. And I was so arrogant back then. No, we're done. I'm not going to call her anymore. So I had to apologize to her at the wedding reception. But I was so cocky and arrogant, and she accepted it finally. And then we spent that night just, dancing. We went to the nightclub in the city. We've been together ever since. Had 2 kids. And that, so.
How many years?
February of next year will be 30 years.
30 years. Wow.
30
awesome.
Years. Yeah, so, and we love it. We just, she's a realtor right now, and she's busy. And I appreciate that. She's out working hard. We get to come home and talk to you guys. It's all good.
Talk about your kids.
All right. So I have my son Christian. He's one of my dad's favorites. Out of the 3 boys, the grandkids, he's the only one that wanted to play basketball on, keep going into high school. And the other ones kind of gave out and started playing other sports. Keikoa played volleyball, and Jake was in Hawaii, played football. But Christian's the one that stuck out basketball. We stayed here. So my dad brought him into USF during the summer, take him in, come home with a bunch of basketballs when he should have only had one. But he took care of my son and helped him out. Then my daughter, Annalise, she's in her 3rd year at Cal State East Bay. Soccer player, very good. They had a good team in Hercules High and traveling team. They were winning a lot. She was a goalie, strong kicker. In high school, they moved her to the midfield, and she played center because she can control the ball and strong kick. And then they had a really good going into the freshman. They were only freshmen, and they were undefeated, winning the league and out here in the Hercules Panola area. But they didn't expect to go that far. There's 3 of their best players. One had plans to go to Disneyland. Another one had plans to go to Barbados to visit family. So when they got to the playoffs, nobody was there. They lost in the first round.
Wow.
But she loved the game of soccer, so she plays soccer. I was trying to get her to play basketball. She had a decent shot. She would make shots in front of older girls in different areas, and they were going, "Oh my gosh, she's so small, she can make a shot," and teaching the fundamentals. But then she got, her close friends were into soccer, so then we just started taking her soccer, and she grew into that. But she's dating a guy right now, and she's doing really well in school. Very dependable, mature in her age, and very reliable. So good things. And my son, Chris, same thing.
Hey, Bob, I know that you do a great job of giving back and helping kids. I've actually seen you at some events here at USF. Why don't you talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my church at the Bay Area Christian Church, we have an E program, and it has different sports with it. Now it's branching out to other things, but I do E basketball here in Hercules. E basketball is big at USF, right?
Yeah.
They got the majority of the varsity players, men and women, and high school helping out, and they got a lot more kids, a lot more space. I'm in Hercules with the E program, and we started it, Bill, maybe about 3 years ago. The pandemic shut it down for this last 14 months. But man, I've been playing basketball since 68, 69. And most weekends when we have this program, I have tears in my eyes almost every single time. The families that have special needs kids are kids that can't participate. It's almost like the kids are on another island, but they can't come out because they'll be pushed away because of who they are. There'll be kids that want to play basketball. They sign up at the Hercules Rec Center to play, but since they're ADHD and they're out of control, coaches say, hey, I can't have these two kids play, and they're brothers, and they had to take them out. So our program, at the E program, we bring kids in like that, special needs, and typical kids who can't play because they get bullied at their schools. They come in here and play basketball for the fun of it.
Nice.
And we have certain people, if they really have special needs, we'll have individual person run with them, but they get to play. I get so many compliments from parents. I mean, the first day this mom whose kids couldn't play, we take a first water break, and she's walking across the court towards me and goes, who are you? What are you? Where are you from? I love this. Look at my boys. I'm starting to tear up. They play basketball and they're having fun. And there's no one stopping them. And she says, thank you for this. So it's just
Wow.
I had a special needs kid, and he's blind. His name is Richie. He's my hero, right? And he's been trying for a few years with his parents to try to meet Steph Curry. Our program in the last couple of years have been able to go to the one Warriors game each of those years and play at halftime. And so we got there earlier, and we were able to hold the flag before the game against the Pistons. This is after they won their second one in a row. And we were there early enough. We brought Richie over, and we was able to meet his hero, Steph Curry.
Awesome.
So parents were going crazy. They loved it. And man, we can do anything. We've been trying this for years. We put it in the news. We had them playing whatchamacallit? Double A ball. What's the ball with the AAU basketball?
Right.
And he's blind. And he was there, and we were able to take a picture, and he was just happy. That's the kind of stuff that the program there. That's only one story. My son Christian started at St. Mary's, did it one year. So I wasn't able to make it to the last day. And there's a mom. So St. Mary's is in Moraga. This mother lives down by Morgan Hill, would bring her son. The other son is normal, but the other son is autistic. She would bring him there just for 1 hour to watch him run around and play. And she brought him for 6 weeks straight because he got to see his son play basketball.
Amazing.
It's just a joy to do and to watch, and just to watch the kids have fun, and the parents there be able to relax and not worry about their kids that they're taking care of, and they get to play basketball. Meaning to say, Steph Curry and the Warriors the last 6 years has a heavy influence on this program because everybody wants to be a Steph Curry and a Klay Thompson. And everybody has a hero, it's Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson. They all want to play.
A lot of 3-pointers then.
A lot of 3-pointers, a lot of smack talking, and watch me shoot, and a lot of fun.
Well, Bob, this was awesome. I'm so very happy to get you on. You know, your family's such a special family. Um, just have a lot of respect for you. And naturally, you guys have a lot of basketball history, so we've always had great times together. And I'm just looking forward to getting back and spending some time together and
Absolutely.
hanging out. So thank you very much for being on.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Good to see you again.
Yeah, same here, Bobby.
All right. And
Keep doing the great work you're doing.
thank you. Go Warriors.